that. Now also, as far as referees and judges who are the worst out there, number one on my list is Jay Nady, definitely. Of course, mainly because of the Judah Tszyu fight. You know how we feel on that one.
Stopped it way entirely too soon. He's not consistent.
No, has no consistency. Same guy that let Trinidad and Vargas go 12 rounds. That could have been stopped in the first.
Didn't he referee one of the Rahman Ruiz fights or something?
No, not that, but he refereed the Lamont Brewster versus Cali Mihan fight, where Mihan literally hit Brewster with about 20 to 30 unanswered punches. Brewster was on the ropes, staggering a lot. That fight could have been stopped right there easily without an argument. Nady let that go.
I know he's refereed some fights where there's been holding that he didn't make a big deal about, but in this Rahman Maskayev fight, for some reason,
he went crazy.
He got horny on holding.
Yeah, he was letting Maskayev know at least not to hold. So I wasn't really having a problem with it.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. He was doing that, but I mean, he was overly sensitive about it, I thought, but whatever.
So, whatever, it's NASCAR.
He's not, but the point is, he's not consistent.
Not at all.
Jay Nady is not consistent as a referee, and he's no good.
No, absolutely. And number two would be Joe Cortez, definitely.
For one thing, Joe Cortez, I'll say this about him, he's actually arguable for number one.
Yeah.
He tries to make himself the star in the matches.
Every single time.
He has this little referee's catchphrase.
Fair but unfirm.
And I just don't think I think the best referees are the ones that you don't notice that much.
Right, the ones that don't talk.
That don't do a lot of stuff.
Don't do anything. Let the fighters fight.
Frank Cappuccino. He doesn't do shit.
Absolutely not. He sits down while the fight's going, basically.
Now, he'll use a fighter's stool if they're not going to use it, but, you know.
He used to want to referee all of Foreman's fights on Foreman's second comeback, when Foreman would stand in the corner during the rounds. Anyway, Joe Cortez, Max Kellerman said this before about him.
And you got to watch out for Vic Dracula. He'll bite the shit out of you.
Anyway, Max Kellerman said this about Joe Cortez one time. He said, if a referee has to say something like that he's fair but he's firm at the beginning of every match, it means, quite frankly, that he isn't. So I agree with that completely. And those are the two of the worst referees. Judges, basically, I think all of them are pretty much terrible. There's been cards from each one of them that have been disgraceful throughout.
I don't want to pay too close attention to these judges' names and their stats or whatever.
Yeah. I don't really keep up with who has exactly what scorecard. I know that every single one of them has been on the wrong end.
Dwayne Ford seems pretty bad. Yeah. Seems like I've seen him, Roth.
Yeah, Roth, Jerry Roth. Any bitch judge, any woman judge.
Have had some question. Yeah, like especially in what was it, one of the Vargas matches, a couple Vargas matches, that Vargas was clearly losing. Some females would have him winning.
Yeah, obviously because they liked him, I guess.
Maybe his looks, I'm assuming. Yeah. Although the other guy looked better. No, we're messing around, but...
We'll cut that. But,
anyhow, it's...
That's as far as judges. Now, some of the best referees, I like Steve Smoger the best. I think he's the best referee out there. Vic Draculich is also a good one. Kenny Bayless is good. Richard Steele is good. And those are probably the top four referees out there, actually.
And, Richard Steele is another one that has had some questionable stuff in his past. But anyhow, I still think the referees that are the best are the ones you don't think of that much. Right. And I'll say this about referees, there's no real organization I see really keeping an eye on these people. There should be someone that watches the referees and the judges and sits there and says, okay, what are these people doing wrong? They need to be held accountable. They're never held accountable.
Never are.
And all you hear from these idiot announcers and commentators, the referee can't possibly be wrong.
Or just
bullshit. They're wrong all the time.
Well, he's in there. He sees it closer than we do. Yeah, who cares? We can see too. They're wrong.
And when it's on camera and you can see some things are obvious. Yes, some things, okay, maybe. But some things are pretty damn obvious.
Yeah. anyway.
And if they can't see it being that close, and we can, they don't need to be refereeing.
Yeah. So
anyhow, let's
that tells
move on.
you that.
That's way
so
too long.
Thank you for that question. Hopefully answered that for you, Steve from Indiana. Okay, this one comes from Daniel Porcerelli. He's got some fantasy fights here. Who would you guys pick in the following fantasy fights between the top guys today against the top guys from a while back? And at middleweight, he has Bernard Hopkins versus Marvin Hagler.
Hopkins.
Yeah, I go with Hopkins, and that's a great fight, back and forth.
Now let's go ahead and explain this. Okay, we're from today. We're from this era.
Yeah.
So we're going to be more lenient
Mostly. There is one on here where we go with the old time guy.
But we might be biased toward that, and if that's the case, so I don't really offer an apology for that.
Yeah.
I would expect the same. I wouldn't expect differently for someone from that era.
Yeah, most people from the old era will pick them.
And
also.
then someone that's been watching since then, okay, you might have a choice to make.
Yeah. But of course, we've seen these old timers too, but not live, obviously.
Not while
now.
we've been in our primes.
Yeah, of watching boxing. Takes a lot of talent to sit at home. But anyway,
everyone has one last fight to watch left.
Yeah.
I've got several.
Yeah. At 135, Floyd Mayweather versus Roberto Duran. Mayweather definitely by decision. Duran threw very fast combination punches at lightweight, but Mayweather with that defense, Duran's punches came pretty wide, so Mayweather shouldn't really have too much trouble picking him off.
And at lightweight he was powerful, but as he moved up he got less powerful.
Definitely.
Clearly less powerful, and I think Mayweather would have decision or even made him quit. I could have seen him
possibly.
If
he could definitely frustrate him, that's for sure.
If that's all it took, I mean, that was one time, so against Leonard, maybe
not. It wasn't from him being hurt or anything.
But he would definitely frustrate him.
Yeah,
that's the point.
Definitely. But there's that one. And at 147, Floyd Mayweather versus Thomas Hearns. Mayweather, probably by decision.
It's an interesting fight, but I mean, Hearns, I'd pick Mayweather knockout, really.
Yeah, I wouldn't go with the knockout, even though Hearns did have a pretty questionable chin. Mayweather doesn't have a lot of power at 147, obviously, so I would go with Mayweather by a very wide decision on that one. So Hearns, very skilled fighter, very tall fighter, so Mayweather wouldn't be able to pick him off quite as easily as he would Roberto Duran, I don't think, but still probably Mayweather should win.
He's got a harder style. He's got that
definitely.
Jab out there.
Yeah. So, more skilled style, you could say.
Motor City Cobra.
Yeah, and at 126 featherweight, Marco Antonio Barrera versus Salvador Sanchez.
Okay. I haven't seen enough of Salvador Sanchez.
I've only seen, I think, 2 fights of him, so very impressive. Obviously, I'm going to have to lean towards Barrera for this since I've seen a lot of him. Sanchez, unfortunately, died at 23 when he was still at his career, at his prime. So.
Only had like 46 fights at 23.
Yeah, so that
he had a
amazing.
Full career at
already.
23.
So who knows how great he could have been.
He would have probably, I mean, looking at that record the way it was, he was going to be another Julio Cesar Chavez.
Definitely.
Clearly.
Yeah, and I saw the 2 fights. The 2 fights I saw were probably his best 2 wins against Azuma Nelson and Wilfredo Gomez. Knocked them both out. So
that right there alone,
right there.
Even though he died tragically in a car wreck.
Yeah. So
it robbed boxing of
a great fighter, definitely. But I'm gonna have to lean towards Barrera. By decision, I'll go with the decision. So, in a war, basically. So
I could see either guy winning.
Yeah,
I could see either guy winning.
Won't say definitely on either. But anyway, now here's one.
They'd probably have rematches and different decisions, truthfully.
Yeah, so at 140, junior welterweight, Ricky Hatton versus Aaron Pryor. Told you there was an old-timer that would pick to win. Definitely Aaron Pryor. I would go with him on this fight.
Yep, I would too. Just think he's more skilled.
Yeah, more skilled by far, and he was an aggressive guy too. And Hatton
probably why he picked those two.
Yeah, probably. And Hatton wouldn't be able to walk through him at all. Pryor had no quit in him at all.
And Luis Collazo hurt Hatton.
Definitely. So
even
Pryor,
McGee put Hatton on its ass.
Yeah. So Pryor had a lot more power than both of them, of course, and Pryor would knock him out.
And a lot of people from back then, I understand, thought Aaron Pryor could actually beat Sugar Ray Leonard.
It was the talk.
And Sugar Ray Leonard would beat the hell out of Ricky Hatton. I don't think anyone will deny that.
No, and I would pick Leonard against Pryor too, but that's a different thing. And but I'll go with Pryor definitely against Hatton. So.
And Pryor would be wearing Leonard's sailor hat while doing it.
That comes from Daniel, so thank you for those.
Okay, that's our mailbag, everyone. Thanks for watching. boxingforreal@gmail.com.